Hello.
Hello.
Hello, world.
Hello. Hey, and welcome to, what do we call it? We'll decide later.
I don't remember.
We can figure that out another time. We got all the time in the world to decide the title of this show.
Joe, we have Joe here with us today.
Yeah, it's our friend Joe.
I think...
What's going on?
Yeah, his name is Joe.
Talk louder, Joe. Project.
Hi, I am Joe.
He is Joe.
That's Joe.
We're going to be reviewing It Follows today. I don't know if you...
Which I have not seen.
Joe has not seen. We're also... me and Valdo are going to either try to convince him or not convince him to go. One of those.
Oh, I thought we were going to try and convince him to...
Well, it depends on what type of opinions we have.
So we're... Oh, okay, so
if you... I mean,
we're not going to convince him to kill himself.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
I'll put that argument back in my head.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll save those for a later date. What we're talking about? It Follows.
Yes, It Follows.
That sounds to me like the 2015 horror film
by David Robert Mitchell.
Yeah, you got that right.
Don't really know who he is.
He's a new director. He hasn't directed much actually.
I will say this. Maybe it's giving away my opinion, but I'd like to see another film by him.
Yes, I would. He seems like he's only directed one movie before this that wasn't a horror film. It was a coming of age drama. So kind of wait.
So first movie.
At first I said, it wasn't like It Follows, but coming of age drama kind of carries over.
So It Follows basically is about.
Well, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll give it. So It Follows is about, simply put, a young girl goes out on a date with a boy, and things are a little weird, but she likes him.
He's cute, and he is cute as F. Joe, if you had seen this guy, you'd be like, "Damn,
get on
guy
that."
is Oh my god.
So they go out into the car into some field as teenagers do, and they do the hanky panky, then afterward.
And usually, see, this is interesting. This is why I like this movie a lot, because normally, whenever I have sex, it starts with the chloroform and the handcuffs. This time, though, he switches it up. So afterwards, I have to give him credit for being so unique and forward-thinking.
Yes. So he seems like a normal guy, and they have sex, and a willing, consensual, very, teenage sex. But afterward, he chloroforms her. And she wakes up tied to a chair in a parking structure, like an abandoned parking structure.
And it's Detroit, so there's quite a few of them.
Yes.
So take your pick.
Yeah.
And she's locked up. She's looking around. What the hell's going on? And this guy explains to him the whole everything you need to know about this movie. He sits her down and says, "Listen, it's done now. It's going to follow you. It will now come after you, and that's all it does. Is it follows. It will find you, and wherever you are, it's always coming. It never runs. It doesn't. It just chase you.
It's not. It'll just keep following no matter what. And it could appear as somebody. And he's actually the thing is.
Oh, good.
He's actually doing her a favor because he's like, I just need to show.
That's what I tell all the girls that I do that to too.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm doing this for your own good. Look, and he shows her this form of a person coming towards.
I'm glad, because I thought this was gonna be a rapey ass thing, but since it's just like weird spiritual, I'm actually a little bit relieved.
It's a supernatural STD.
Yeah,
it's a supernatural STD that takes the form of this creature that follows you.
Yeah, and it appears.
It's a skinwalker, so it can take any form that it wants, any person, and it doesn't run. It just slowly follows you.
Yeah.
So wait,
once it kills you, it'll then go to the next person on the chain. So the only way that you can you can't get rid of it, but you can slow it down by going out with another person and then giving it to them.
Yeah, you give it to them and then they follow that person. But once they catch that person,
go to you.
It will eventually at one point
if it catches the person you gave it to, it's gonna come back for you.
Oh, so it is an STD. I thought that was just a joke, but essentially
it kind of is. Yeah,
it's a metaphor for a lot of things actually, and that's one of the beautiful things about this movie is that the metaphor isn't as concrete as you think. It's very applicable because it doesn't have to be just STDs.
Yeah,
it could also be. You could also make an argument just for losing your virginity or just for having sex with somebody, giving yourself up to somebody like that.
Yeah,
you can make arguments for so many different ways of looking at this movie. It's very applicable. and that's what I love.
Yes, it's got a very low budget vibe for all of you people.
Okay,
it's very
dude, do you know this movie was made on a budget of $2 million?
that makes sense.
But it doesn't look like it was made on a budget. It looks much bigger than that.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks better than Ouija.
Yeah.
It looks way better than Unfriended. Any horror movie you've seen.
I thought
just the
Ouija
techniques.
was Ouija.
Ouija.
I thought that's how it was. Yeah.
That's how you actually pronounce it.
You've never actually seen it spelled before, have you?
It's spelled WWEEGI. Yeah, that's how you actually spell Ouija.
Mm-hmm. Well,
anyway, so basically, in this film, I mean, I think we could go on for a while about the directing techniques, but
yes, how effective they are.
Yeah, you're with this teenage girl who has this, like, she, no matter what, like, she has to, like, keep her guard up because there's this thing following, and it breaks windows. Like, it never runs, but it will break windows, it'll open doors, and it's smart. He's like, it moves slow, but it's fucking smart, so don't think...
And that's the thing, is that it'll kind of, that's one of the scariest things about the movie for me, was that I never could tell how smart it was.
Yeah.
Because it'll trick you. There are times where it seems like it's doing things just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
That's what makes it terrifying, is that it seems to have a mission,
a
goal, but you're never quite sure what that goal is or how it's really operating.
And there's an intelligence behind it. Yeah. And there's a couple scenes, one in particular, where it shows it knows. Like, it might be going after this one person, but it's
smarter than just
smarter than just a simple, dumb plague. And we were talking about this. It's also really interesting for a kind of like a horror film that has this kind of entity, and nobody else can see it unless you've had it before.
Yeah.
You can always see it, like the guy you've had it before, you can see it, but nobody else can see this thing. And it's really interesting.
But here's the most important part. It's a physical being. It doesn't walk through walls. It never is a moment where it does anything supernatural. It still exists, and it still has to kind of play by the physics of the real world.
Exactly.
It has to. If you put up a door in front of it, it will think a way. It'll either break right through it or think of a way around it, or think of a way to trick you. That's what makes it scary.
Imagine how shitty that'd be. You finally got rid of it, and then it's like walking at you, and it takes a left. You go somewhere else, but for that split second, you're like, oh shit, it's my time.
That happens in the movie. Actually, there's a scene like that in the movie. I can't express my love for this movie enough. I think this is probably one of my favorite horror movies to come out in a really long time.
Yeah, and it's one of those horror movies, for the first time ever watching a horror movie, I'm like, shit, I want to see the sequel to this.
Yes, because
I actually want a sequel.
I want a sequel to this. Normally when I see horror movies, I'm like, just leave it at this. But this... There are so many places you could take this. It's the why I love this movie has more to do with just the concept alone and how
it affects the people and their lives.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where it's like, I want to see a separate group of characters have to deal with this same problem.
Yeah.
I want to see how other people solve this. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And it's... We've had theories of what we would do.
Totally. My theories of having, a gay commando squad, which all has intersex together so they can all see it, and they all protect you at all times.
I was actually thinking that this is a very individualistic thing, because, it only comes after you, right? Yeah. But with your little gay commando squad, that actually does kind of make it a group thing. But
it only come after you, but they can all see it, and then after it kills you, it would kill all of the gay commando squad. But
I'm just saying, it's
that theory. It follows too. Gay commando squad.
You need so many resources to pull that shit off.
There's just these teenagers.
There are other methods, you road trip, but
Yeah, but it's funny. They kind of do that.
Yeah,
they do a road trip.
That says something about Spencer that he immediately went to
gay commando squad. I was like, well, because you need
something that's effective. You don't want something that's gonna blow back on you at any moment, like a road trip.
Yeah,
Lord knows how long that.
Dude, what if your car breaks down?
But they do a road trip in that film, and the thing is. It still finds them.
You know what else I like about this movie?
It just walks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't...
It doesn't sprint. It doesn't run.
It doesn't drive?
No, it walks.
It follows. You could figure out a way. You could I don't know, just constantly keep moving, but like to where it's on the other side of the planet at all times.
Yeah, well,
I know, but that's the thing. You always have to keep moving. You always have to check behind your shoulder. You always have to be aware.
I'm pretty sure if you go to somewhere else and you got an accent,
But that's the thing.
That's the thing.
That's the thing that's most terrifying
That's
about
the
it, is because you never know who it is. It can be anyone.
And
it could be people you know. It could be, yeah. And sometimes
and
it's
the supernatural aspect of it is in that it knows where you are. Somehow it just always knows where you are.
Yeah.
And it can find you anywhere.
It's a freaking beacon for you.
It'll beeline for you. It's just like, suddenly it's moving over there. It's like, oh, he's walking that way, I'll turn this way along. That doesn't really work on a podcast, I'm realizing. But you get what I'm saying.
It's a turn, like
always
a slow...
following you.
Yeah, but the coolest thing about this film is the way it was directed in the way of, like, having just people walking in the background.
The shots are very wide and expansive.
And there's people in the background, and you're like... And they're moving in that direction, and, like, anytime they move in a direction of a character, you're like, fuck. Yeah. Oh, God.
There are scenes where people are having conversations, and just because... And keep in mind that there are times where conversations are interrupted by the creature. And there are times also where they're just having a conversation and you can't even focus on the conversation. You're too busy. Like, is that it?
There's something back there.
It's walking kind of towards the screen. Shit. Oh God.
Is it?
Oh God.
And the director too. And every now and then will throw in a red herring to you too. Mm-hmm. You'll just be like, yeah. Okay, not.
He's very effective with his horror. And I think he's very creative with just how
totally and real characters too.
Yeah, I love the characters too.
How he shot. What you were saying? How he shot.
How he shot it. He shot it in a very intentional way, which I love. It has a very slow pace, but it's almost trance-like. I don't know how to describe it, but
totally.
There are shots that last a very long time, and they're unsettling because of how long they last, and for how the camera moves and everything. It's very effective in the way it's shot. And one thing we haven't talked about yet, I really like the acting. Yeah. This is one of the few horror movies where I really like the acting.
Yeah, and these kids too, because sometimes kids are hit and miss.
I sometimes hate fucking kids in horror movies, but what I really liked especially was you can see the stress on the guy who gives it to her and on her. You can see it in them how it's really bothering them.
It eats away because it may not get you today, it may not get you tomorrow, but it's coming.
And the stress
and it's always coming.
They reminded me like of they looked like they had war fatigue the entire movie.
Totally.
They looked really stressed and just being down. And another thing that I liked is I liked how her friends never had a moment where they were really like, wait, hold on a second, are we really believe her? No. They believe her. Yeah, and then they get confirmation that yes, there is definitely something following her. We don't have to wait like 30 minutes in the movie for them to finally get on her side. Yeah. There's no bullshitting around in this movie.
There's maybe like a night where they're like, they're not treating her like she's stupid or they're just like, you're just a little traumatized or whatever.
It feels like how we would treat a friend if we really did have that problem.
Exactly. And then eventually, like the pack we have, that if somebody ever comes to us with a, like one of those situations where like, dude, you gotta believe me. Yeah. This is shit. This shit is real.
If it's a real horror movie, like, yes, we would buy it. We agreed on that. And I like how these characters acted. And another thing that I liked about the movie is the vibe. It's such a fucking 80s, 70s...
ambient.
Minimalist, kind of.
Calm. And we talked about the slow pace. It's got that, like... it definitely has that 80s and the way the camera movements.
It's very showing. And another thing, it shows rather than tells.
Totally.
A lot of plot points and especially there's little character things. You remember the bottles that were hanging against the window? Little things like that. They never explain it, but it's very obvious what they're trying to get across.
Happened. Yeah, and
good
like,
cinematic storytelling. That's what I love.
Characters, like the way they look at another character to kind of give more depth to like what type of person they are.
Oh yeah, they're like. There's
some weird like
the character relations.
The character relations. What you were saying are like super. They're complex because no character is like one thing. Because like there's this one character who seems to be he likes all the girls in the group and he like just subtle. It's just a subtle thing.
And then there's the one that I kind of got. I had the impression that one character was gay. Yeah. And then. And I talked to another person, a friend of mine at Academy, who had that same feeling, but they never confirm it. It's just, there are ways that she acts that seem to kind of lead you to that. I mean, that's just a great testament to how much how good this movie is at just like
It's deep. It's deep.
Yeah, and it sparks your imagination because you want to know more. I want to know more about this. I want to know where it started. I want to know the history. It's so mysterious.
So mysterious.
It's a really effective horror movie, and I think this is going to become over time one of the classics of our generation. Kind of. I really like it.
I honestly completely agree with you. It's like one of those films that maybe the first time you go into it, it's not great, but like I was talking with my friend Kevin, and he was like saying how terrified he was after, and he's super picky about the movies he likes, but he was just like, man, I was freaking terrified after like seeing, and like just like every person who walks towards you in a straight line, I'm just like, ah.
Now, keep in mind, we are not going to say that this is Exorcist level scary. This isn't that type of horror. This isn't the type of horror that's in your face, screams, jump scares. This is dread, and it builds. And you need to give it time to really settle in because the mood, the atmosphere, and if you focus on the characters, that'll give you the appreciation of how well crafted this movie is. This isn't in your face. This isn't The Conjuring. This isn't like, boo! Yeah, it's nothing like that. This is very pensive, thoughtful, smart horror. And you know what's interesting was, when I first saw the movie, I didn't particularly like the end, but thinking back on it later, I really like the end, actually.
Yeah, no.
I like the end a lot.
Yeah.
I really like it. And after this podcast is done, I can tell you why, but I really like this movie. I cannot recommend it enough, especially to teenagers, because you kids today, you've been fed so much bullshit recently in terms of horror.
Yeah.
I've been like settling. I was like, okay, Conjuring is really good because it reminds me of a lot of horror movies I used to like as a kid, but even I was kind of in my heart, I knew it wasn't as good as I made it out to be. Yeah. Now I can say, fucking finally, this is what I'm talking about. We need more horror movies like this. Yes. I really love it. I can't recommend it enough. Joe, please go see this movie. Tell as many friends that you have to see this movie. I want to see this movie. He only has
a couple I'm pretty sure he
Okay, well tell your...
I'm going to have you guys.
Okay,
hey, Spencer, go watch It Follows.
When you go home, tell all your action figures that you really want to see it. Like, after you...
They don't even hang out with me
After
anymore.
You do the karaoke to them...
They go hang out with the Barbies.
Looks like someone
they all got up and left his room into his sister's.
They're the only thing in that room that grew up. Burn! Yeah, you should see my room though.
It's okay.
You think whatever you're feeling. No. Mine's far worse.
The insults have no basis. I don't even have action figures. So
I do. I'm just projecting now.
Oh, okay.
You hold me up to a window, like to a wall, and I could probably show movies, slideshows.
So yeah, well, like, what are we gonna give this movie? Like, as far as the rating goes, I think
I give this the coveted movie I want to see a franchise of award. Yeah. I really honestly want to see a franchise of it, and that's something rare that I say nowadays because we've been so diluted in franchises.
I don't know. Like, I feel like there's at the beginning of the series, there's always a difference, right? Like
you didn't even see the movie.
I know. I know.
Let's hear this before we destroy it.
I meant to say this earlier. I feel like there's a huge difference when, say, Paranormal Activity came out, and when because I had no idea that this came out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anytime Paranormal Activity comes out, it's like driven into my brain, and I kind of appreciate when it's just a quieter,
original. The first thing. So, see, I completely agree with you. But the thing about this movie is there's so much mystery to it. Whereas, like, I feel like a Paranormal Activity, a Blair Witch Project, they're kind of explained. They live inside themselves, and they're built off of a gimmick in a way. Yeah. They're built off of found footage, and then Paranormal kind of had that same found footage. That sort of... It's built off this gimmick, and they're like, this gimmick sells.
With Paranormal Activity, when I saw the first movie, it was over, and then I heard they were doing another one, I was like, what could they even do? Like, where could they take that? They can't really take that anywhere. Yeah. When you see It Follows by the end of it, you're already thinking in your head places they could take it. Because there's a lot more potential in this.
Yes.
As opposed to like a Paranormal Activity, because Paranormal Activity, there's no real singular monster. This is almost like a monster movie in that it's kind of like a Freddy Krueger or a Jason. And I don't want to compare them in tone, but more or less that it's one monster, and you want to see how different characters react to this monster.
So I'm just being devil's advocate.
Go for it.
Because I like sequels, right? Yeah. I like when they... So I'm just trying to But we did talk about earlier about how, you know, explaining something and too much of it can make it not
totally.
less
And
scary.
that would be the tiptoeing line.
Yeah.
You still have to maintain that shroud of mystery for this
I'm
type
not
of
saying
film.
it wouldn't be difficult to take this further, but
Definitely.
with the intelligence that the director and
showed
the
in this
writers have
first
shown
one?
so far,
Yeah, I think he wrote and directed it.
I can trust him to do more with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. If this became like a 7-movie franchise,
Then yes, I would start to get irked. But
yeah.
if they did two more,
if they
I'd
did
be
a
cool.
trilogy, I would be so down. Especially if they do another one and the second one passes. Because the thing about this movie is, it was this idea on the smallest of scales.
Yeah.
It was this It Follows idea on a small scale of teenagers. And that, I mean, I hate to say this, but like, you can't get smaller of a scale than like
a teenage horror film.
You know, like you can get children's movie, but like, it's kind of in that realm of very small. And actually, part of me feels like they were like just graduated from high school.
Yeah, they were kids.
They were like just out of high school, but not quite in college.
Yeah.
It was. They didn't.
What are you guys talking about? We're not kids. I'm in high school. We're not kids. Dude, we know everything. We're gonna live forever.
Yeah.
We're fucking invincible, bro. I smoke 6 packs a day. I don't give a shit.
But yes, like
You freaking
I
senior
am
citizens.
I am the first person to say, and anybody can attest to this. I am the person that will be like, okay, don't ruin a good thing.
Yeah, don't
make a sequel. There's, I mean, I can only like, there's some good sequels out there, but on the whole, I'm like, keep that beautiful thing as is. But this particular film, I want to see it again. I want to see more because there
it
was
it does what I think any great movie should do. It left me wanting more.
It left me,
and I really want more.
The questions.
Yeah.
It left you with so many questions, and we talked about it for a long time after. Me and my friend Kevin talked about it, and all these like different ideas. It made me think. I had more than just the gay commando theory. I just said it just it puts you in that perspective of what would I do in this scenario,
and then you think of all the things you would do, and you're like, okay, I want to see a character who would do that, or who would try that at least, or try to find a way around it.
Exactly.
Like, is there a way to beat this thing?
And
going to the moon.
It's like playing a chess game against this creature. You know what I mean? Because
hold on. You know how they have the Mars thing? Like, sign up to go to Mars? What if someone who had that went to Mars?
Yeah, like,
what would happen?
It follows in space.
Yeah,
it follows
it just kind of floats. And because it's like an internal compass, it doesn't have to breathe, but it just kind of pulls itself
That
towards.
was actually a
toward
question
them.
I had, because you said that it still has to be like follow physics. Does that mean it can fly? So if like I'm flying,
No.
We don't know.
the world,
We don't know.
Oh, okay.
That's where more questions.
See? We got questions. You haven't
there's
seen the movie and
So
you got
many
questions.
about this it that follows things. We
So-
don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
It's
Its name's like Dave. Something.
My name is Dave, and I just have a thing for the things that I do.
Dongus over here.
There's more there's more
He's the
things that the movie will answer for you that we're trying to keep purposely vague because the movie answers some more questions. But the thing
there are
is,
some questions that you
those
ask.
questions make you have more questions.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but in the best sort of way, in the best sort of like, this is cool.
So I'm giving it a definite solid recommendation.
Yeah,
what are you giving it?
You give it a franchise recommendation.
Yeah.
I have to say that I give it like, gosh. Spencer doesn't like a lot of horror movies. Spencer's not a horror movie fan, so I'm gonna put this in like my top 10 favorite horror movies. Like,
That's because you haven't seen Serbian film all the way through. Come over to my
Okay.
house. I'll show you
Dear
what
God,
a real
do you
horror film
have
looks
that?
like.
Do you
on
have that on
Blu-ray,
DVD?
bitch.
What?
On Blu-ray, motherfucker. Nothing stops me. I was the one who introduced it to him, for God's sake. Well, I introduced it to Ben, who showed it to you.
I didn't tell him about
How the
it.
hell did you
I
find
know
out
what
about
it is.
Why do you
alright?
know what that movie is?
He spends too much
Internet?
time on the internet.
It's so funny how like I with like just the side.
No, but you're not wrong.
I told Ben like because Ben and I got in an argument of I've seen the worst horror movie, and I was like, dude, no, you haven't, because you haven't seen a movie with a newborn porn scene in it. So he was like, what? What movie's that? I'm like, okay. So I showed him Serbian film.
I didn't watch it, but I watched I read the wiki, like where it's.
Wow.
Dear God.
You know that movie? I've shown that movie to people, and it's actually broken a few of my friends. Where
I'll watch it.
My friend,
Hey.
I showed it to my friend. He locked himself in the bathroom and didn't come out.
I'll watch it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome. You're like,
I'll ask you after this podcast who that was.
okay, I'll tell you afterwards.
All right. Anyway, wrapping it up, I'm gonna give it in my top 10 favorite horror movies, just because I love teen films and I love this film, and I also love watching indie films with a clever director. Those are just those films speak to me in a way, and also I think I want to put a side asterisk pin on that, as well as saying, freaking, I'm giving that franchise award that that Valdo gave. Woo! I want to see a sequel.
My award is that I'm probably going to watch it at some point.
Yeah. And I got a movie poster. Nobody in this room does. Unless you guys kill me and take it from me.
That's what I've been planning.
He just told us what to do.
For years.
Damn! My loud mouth.
I've been thinking that before the poster.
Thanks for the reason, motherfucker.
Why do you think I'm related to you? I knew there was going to be a time where you were going to have something I wanted, and I've been planning to kill you for a long time.
You are
years. Years.
Well, I think that is it for It Follows. Watch it.
See it?
I mean, it's short and it's concise, and you'll like it.
Yeah, and it's good to see a nice short horror movie. I've just had an issue with movies keeping me in there for far too fucking long lately.
Concise, terrifying, psychologically.
It's short, but it has a slow pace, so it feels longer than it actually is. I don't know how to describe it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Go see it.
I don't know. Go see it. That's really all we can say. So, go away. Watch it.